Welcome, welcome to It's Okay. It's okay to talk golf. And I'm your host, Kay McMahon. And we have a great show lined up for you today. We're going to talk a lot about the history of golf. We're going to talk about the rules of golf. We're going to talk about instructional pieces, which are going to be very, very simple. And of course, we're going to have some very interesting interviews of who's who in golf. I think you're going to find them very fascinating. So stay tuned. Let's get started. At the sports desk at WKAY TV is now open. Back in the day, so we're going to talk a little bit about how the drop came about, how to drop a golf ball after you've hit it in the water. Now, can you believe I hit it in the water? I can't believe I hit it in the water, but I'm ready to take my drop. Back in the day, though, let's start out with how it started. So I used to have to do this. So it looked like I was getting ready to do the limbo. Can you believe that? Now, the reason that the drop had to be done that way was so that it couldn't hit you, but you also then couldn't see where you dropped it because you didn't want to drop it where you really thought it was really the best choice. So again, it was like this. Well, that didn't make any sense because then you couldn't see where you had to place it if it happened to roll. All right, so we stopped doing the limbo. Then they started out by then, this was many years ago, of the drop had to be shoulder height, and it could be in any direction from where I took the drop. So it could be like this. It could be in any direction. It didn't have to face the hole, but it had to be in line with the hole. So then we dropped from there. So now you could actually see it, and I didn't have to do the limbo business. Today, as of just a couple of years ago, it has now turned into, this is for now speed of play, as opposed to, and to be able to see where it is dropped. So now I have to be about 12 inches above or knee height. So from here, I drop it like this, and then I can see where it dropped. If it happens to roll, which it went closer to the hole in that particular case, then I would have to drop again. Now this is for speed of play, so that it wouldn't take you as long to make your drop. So 3 different methods of how the rules have gotten better or changed because of speed of play. So that's how you drop it. That's the history. Always one of my favorite sections, to change or not to change. And the thing that no one ever can really practice very well, because normally you're at the driving range and it's always flat. So today, to change or not to change, we're going to talk about uneven lies. So there's all kinds of uneven lies. There's straight uphill, then there's straight downhill, then there's what we call side hill with the ball above my feet, which would be this way, and then there's side hill with the ball below my feet. So some lies are more difficult than others, but there are 2 basic rules that you have to remember. The number 1 rule is the ball will tend to do what the hill does. So if I'm going uphill, the ball will tend to fly higher, so you need to take more club. If I'm going downhill, I have to take a more lofted club to get the golf ball more airborne because the ball is going to fly lower. If I'm going side hill, all right, the ball will tend to do what the hill does. So because gravity is going this way down, the ball will tend to go with gravity. So that means if I'm going downhill or with a side hill lie, the ball is going to tend to go for a right-handed golfer to my left. All right, and the opposite is if the ball is below my feet, that means then the ball is going to go with gravity. So rule number 1 is the ball will go with gravity. It will do what the hill does. Rule number 2 is that my upper body needs to resist gravity. So I don't want to fall backwards, so I don't want to go with gravity. So I'm always resisting gravity to maintain balance. So let's get set up and talk about an uphill lie. I want to take more club because obviously then that increases the loft of the club head when I'm going uphill. So that means I have to take more club. Most of the time when you're going uphill, people say I'm always short because you needed 1 more or 2 more clubs. So you must take that into consideration. So when I'm going uphill, all right, that's higher on this side, so gravity's going this way, so I want to resist gravity with my upper body. So that means people will tend to do this. So I lower my back foot or my downhill foot so that I maintain balance a lot better, so that I don't fall backwards and so that I feel like I can get up the hill. Now going downhill, straight downhill, means that it's even tougher. So on the difficulty, the ball is below my feet. So this is the only place I change my ball position to where it's a little farther back in my stance. Again, your swing, I lower my downhill foot so that I'm not going to fall with gravity, because if I take my normal stance, I may go down with gravity, so that's what I don't want to do. So you lower, resist gravity, and then you always want to get your shoulder line the same slope as the hill. So let's talk about side hill lies. If the ball's above my feet, okay, I take my normal stance, the tendency will be to fall backwards with gravity. So what I want to do, the ball's now closer to my face, so then I lean into the hill according to how steep the hill is, and then that shortens the club. So what I want to do is maintain my balance, so I'm staying this way. So what I don't want to do is that way. Now the ball's going to tend to go to my left, which means that I have to aim a little bit more to my right. So I'm understanding ball flight. The opposite would be true with the ball below my feet, which is a much more difficult shot. Now I can't lengthen the club, so here, to resist gravity, okay, if I take my normal stance, the tendency is to fall this way, and that's what I don't want to do. So to resist gravity, once I get set up, I can't lengthen the club, so I just have to shorten my body so that I'm resisting gravity with my upper body. So I take probably a shorter swing and make sure that I stay in my posture position. So you first want to understand ball flight, where the ball is going to go. So rule number one, let's review. The ball will do what the hill does, which means what gravity does. And rule number two is resist gravity with your upper body and maintain your balance. The steeper the hill, the shorter the swing. Try that and you'll find you'll make a big change in your game. This segment is about golf rules, and oftentimes people get them all confused, and we're going to see if we can sort them out. As tradition tells us, Mary Queen of Scots started the game of golf, and we know that she was the ruler. So golf rules. I'm going to see if I can sort some of the rules out, and one of the ones that often gets very confusing is about all the different colors of stakes, whether it's out of bounds and water hazards. So we're going to talk about those rules today, and really what you can do and what you can't do. So on the golf course, there are three colors of stakes or lines on the ground. The first one is white. We're going to go from the lightest color to the darkest. So we have white, we're going to have yellow, and we have red. White simply means it's out of bounds. You have to go back to where you hit it from and hit again. Yellow means that it's a direct water hazard. It's directly between you and the hole. And red lines or red stakes means that it's lateral or to the side. So there's different things that you can do with each one of these. So what you want to remember is that you've got lightest to darkest, white, yellow, red. And I'm going to explain the options, but white we only have one choice. When we have a yellow hazard, we'll have two choices. And when we have red hazard, we'll have three choices. So let's go to a real life chalkboard situation. We've got a green. Okay, we have out of bounds on the side, so that would be our out of bounds is one choice that we can do. We have a water hazard. Okay, the water hazard, here's our little golf ball, well, it's cute little dimples. We have yellow, which means it's directly between myself and the hole, and then we have red, which is on the side or lateral to the side. That's what lateral means. So we have one choice from here. So if I hit my golf ball from this spot and it goes flying over here, okay, I'm out of bounds. The only choice I have is I have to go back from here and hit it again with a one-stroke penalty. Just a one-stroke penalty. People think it's two sometimes, but it's only one. So I've hit it once, penalty stroke 2, and I'm hitting 3. So let's say the next ball I hit, I'm now taking my golf ball from here, and I hit it here, and it goes there and lands in the water right here. Okay, I can go back to choice number 1, and I can hit it from here. Or I have to, this is my second choice. This is where people get very confused. They think that they can drop it anywhere over here, but you have to drop it where the last point across the hazard, and you can drop it as far back as you want to go between yourself and the hole in that direct line that way. So it's where the last point across the hazard, not where it landed in the water. So the lateral water hazard, the one to the side, the red over here, let's say I hit my golf ball and now I go and it lands and it goes like this and it lands right there. The last point across the hazard was right here. So I can now take it 2 club lengths to the side of where I want to go and then drop it from there. So it's 2 club lengths from, again, the important word here is the last point across the edge of the hazard between the red stakes. So I can always go back to choice number 1, which I could hit it from here, which is no good. I could keep that point between myself and the hole, which would mean I'd have to go wading in the water. But the better choice, the third choice, is I could take it 2 club lengths to the side. So just remember, the easiest way to remember is lightest to the darkest. You've got white, yellow, and red. 1 choice, 2 choices, and 3 choices. If you know the rules, it'll definitely help your game, and hopefully that'll sort it out and make it much simpler. So remember, golf rules. Welcome to Tea Talk. I'm back here today with my guest, Maria Glavin. Well, Miss Maria, it's my turn to ask some questions now. You've had a lot of good questions of me. So, how long have you been playing?
I started at 3 or 4, so I think about 6 or 7 years now I've been just playing golf.
So, over half your life.
Yes.
All right. And do you know why you started playing?
I think I started playing just because my dad really liked it, so he kind of introduced it to me, and I was really young, so I didn't really care. So I just kind of went along with it, and I've been playing ever since.
All right, so do you remember, I remember how old you were. Do you remember, was that your first lesson? Do you remember how old you were?
Don't, actually.
You were 4 and a half when I first,
yes.
You were 4 and a half. Yeah, we always have to get the half in there, right?
Yes.
Okay, you were 4 and a half. And I can remember we looked at my computer when we were doing your first lesson, and I can remember how intently you were looking. You were on a box because you were that short that you have to look. And I have pictures of you with that. Do you remember if that was your first lesson, or had you had other lessons before that?
I think that was my first, yeah.
Okay. So we've been doing a lot of lessons since then.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So tell me what you like about golf.
I like that golf is you don't always have to have other players with you. You can just go out and decide that I'm just going to go hit balls and I'm not going to worry, or I'm going to work on this specific thing. And you don't ever have to, you can just, it's almost, you get alone time sometimes to just hit balls and just kind of think about things, and I think that's what I really like about it.
That's a great answer, because a lot of people have said that too, because like when you play other sports, you have to have a whole team, don't you? And then you have to rely on the other team. So we still do a lot of lessons, and does your father have a big influence on your game?
Yes, definitely, yes.
Okay, so what does your father do with you?
He will work on my swing a lot with me. He's my caddy, and he helps me with my tournaments. He will like research things about everything about the golf. He knows everything. He'll like research stats, and he'll kind of get my game in check and stuff.
So, because my father also helped me, not quite as much as, well, I did play a lot with my father, but he was always very proud of me and stuff like that. So you're playing competitively now, right?
Yes.
And can you tell me a little bit about competition and how you feel about competition?
I think it's really, I think it's really fun, because I like competing with people. It's just sometimes nervous. It's really nerve-wracking though when you're like in the heat of the moment, you have to make this putt to win the tournament or things like that.
So it seems to me you just did that just recently, right? But
Yes.
Tell me about that last experience. Where were you playing? And it was.
So I think I was playing in I can't remember where. I was playing in
U.S. Kids?
U.S. Kids Golf, and we had this last tournament. It's this New England State Championship Invitational, and I had a 38 in the first day, and I was tied for second, and then I had a 34 in the next day, and that last putt to make the 34, I had like a 5-foot putt to make, and I was so scared. I was like, if I don't make this, I'm probably not going to win, because there was another girl who was behind me, and if she made a 34 or anything like that, she would have beaten me. If we tied, she would have beaten me. So I was so nervous, and then she had a 35, so we were tied, and so we had a playoff, and we both had really good drives, and then we were on the green. She missed her putt, so I was putting for 4, and I was on the green and 2 putting for 3. And that last putt, I could just hear my dad in the background make it. and I put the putt, and it just rolled right in. And my dad was like, Maria, I thought you were totally going to miss that. I thought you put way too much brake on that. He's like, I was so nervous. So that I was so happy, and yeah.
So your father caddies a lot for you.
He does, yes.
He does, and you guys have some very good systems. Is it nerve-wracking having your father there? Is it too much pressure? You can pretend that your father's never going to hear this, so you can tell me how it really feels. Does he help sometimes, or do you sometimes get mad at him? Or
I think it's good to have him there, because whenever I have a bad shot, I blame it on him. So it's good to have somebody to blame. But it's kind of nerve-wracking because it's like my dad. So if I lose a tournament, it's not going to be like another parent. They're just going to be like, oh, great. And then they're going to be happy for their kid. They're not going to remember me. But my dad is always going to remember. He remembers every single tournament, like what shot I hit, so he will always remember this tournament. So it's so scary if I don't hit a good shot or things like that. But I think it's really good having my dad there. Not like somebody just, like a caddy that I hire or something, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, that's true. He comes free, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's good. How do you think, you say you get nervous or anxious a lot, how do you handle that? Because you don't look nervous when you're out there playing.
I know. Whenever people tell me that I never look nervous, and I'm like shaking, and I'm like shaking. I'm so terrified, and people always tell me I don't look nervous. So, but what I do is I don't really think about things. I let my mind wander when I'm in a really tough or really scared situation. So I'll let my mind wander, like a movie I watched last night or a book I've been reading, and I don't think about what I'm doing while I'm walking to the ball or when I'm putting stuff. Yeah.
Okay. What would you tell other girls that might want to get involved? Because when they hear you're nervous and stuff, I don't think you're really nervous. I think you're more anxious. It's like the kind of
yes.
the adrenaline gets going a little bit. But what would you say to other girls because we want to get more girls involved and they don't seem to want to go play, do they?
No, I think golf is a sport where it's really fun, but it's really, really hard, and it's almost where you don't have other people to rely on, like a basketball team where you have other kids coming in, substituting you. If you're not playing good that day, you can just sit on the sidelines. But when you're in golf, every shot matters, and it's you who's hitting the shot. So if your team loses, it could be you made 5 baskets and nobody else made them and kept losing your shots to make a basket. But when you're in golf, every shot counts. So I think that I would say that it's fun sport because you can do it by yourself, and when you're not having a good day, that's something where you can go and not have to rely on other people, not see other people. You can just kind of play.
Great. Okay, so now this is going to be a tougher question because I'm sitting here. So we've done a number of lessons, and I know one of my objectives or goals for you is for you to always know your swing. And your swing is one of the best I've ever seen.
Thank you.
So what are the things that you like about lessons, and what are the things you hate about lessons? I knew this was going to be tough. This is truth or dare.
So I think the thing that I really like about the lessons is that I have somebody else, not my dad, always with me. So it's not always my dad, but I think I really like them because help me get better, and I know that when I go to a lesson, I'm not just there just because I'm there to get better, and then because my goal is to get really, really good, I want to get on the LPGA tour. So I think that whenever I'm at a lesson, I'm getting better, and I'm taking one step closer to getting on the LPGA.
So you kind of said that under your breath. So that's my next question to you. So what's your ultimate goal? You're 10 years old now. So where do you want to be? What do you want to do?
I want to be number 1 in the world, and I want to get in the Golf Hall of Fame, and I want to be on the LPGA tour. Yes.
Okay. I think your chances are very, very good. So this interview may go down in history when you get on the LPGA tour in the Hall of Fame. So then we'll both be in the Hall of Fame. So Maria, I want to thank you for being here today. It's one of the best interviews I've ever had. Both you giving an interview for me and me interviewing you. So I appreciate you being here, and we'll do this again.
Okay. Thank you, Kay.
We've had a lot of fun and a lot of great topics. So until the next time we see each other, as I always say, remember, keep your head up. The scores will come down because it's all in the attitude.